Thank you, Zscaler, for asking us to come here and tell our story. One of the things about Las Vegas is that what happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas. With the exception of events like this, I'm hoping that I will share with you our journey, our modernization journey. Hopefully, you can take it back. I have really 3 goals to accomplish. 1, who are we? And why modernization is important to us. And the second thing that I would want to do, modernization is a complex thing. There are multiple facets, a lot of interdependencies. I'll kind of share with you my view about what are these interdependencies from an S&P Global perspective. And then we'll zoom into cyber and cyber transformation that we have done, and specifically talk about Zscaler and how critical it has been in our journey. So let's talk about who we are. We are S&P Global, and we are a critical component of the financial industry. We take a lot of pride in providing essential intelligence to all the stakeholders in the financial system. As a matter of fact, almost all of you are either directly or indirectly are customers of S&P Global. Trillions of dollars of your assets are benchmarked against S&P Global indices. Nearly $43 trillion worth of debt is rated using our data and the models and methodologies. So very, very critical component of the financial ecosystem. So we recently also merged with another public company, IHS Markit, almost 15 months ago. And Zscaler was very pivotal in dealing with that integration, and that's one of the use cases that we'll talk about. But the combined company has nearly $12 billion of revenue and over 37,000 employees. It is a very important company, and you can argue that our technology infrastructure is pretty vast. Like many of you, we also had a cloud-first journey. Now, when you talk about cloud, a lot of people will think if I go to cloud, my complexity is reduced. Complexity is not reducing. Complexity takes a different shape. If you look at our technology at a high level, because of our cloud adoption, we have multiple cloud providers. We have a multi-cloud strategy. We also have several SaaS applications. And how do you make them connect with each other, the employees, the assets? And for us, a technology partner like Zscaler, it's almost like software-defined security, and we'll talk about how we are using it, both using the network as a transport, like Jay talked about this morning, and using the operating system and the control plane to manage all of that. But why is modernization important? The first and foremost, we believe that if you are interested in growing your revenue, you need to have a foundation that's very, very strong, and that foundation has to be built on modern technologies. And the second thing is, as part of our digitization strategy, ecosystems are very important. We want to be part of the ecosystem, and we want to drive these ecosystems. You will not be able to do that without a modern foundation. And more importantly, we want to make sure that we have great engagement from all of our stakeholders and keep them very satisfied. And those stakeholders include our employees, our investors, our customers, and regulators, and the communities. Now, let's talk about technology and why every CIO is on a continuous modernization journey. Everybody, when they deploy technology, they use the best practices of that day. I call them as yesterday's best practices. But with so much change that's happening, you have to keep on evolving. The best way I could describe a transformation is like a puzzle, a Rubik's Cube. There are a lot of dependencies. For us, these are like the 6 phases of the so-called puzzle, with people being one of them, and cloud and data is another one, cyber is another one. If you're like a manufacturing or a healthcare company, you may have a supply chain as one of your facets, but you cannot have a big bang modernization or transformation. There isn't enough time, enough money and resources, and more importantly, change management to be able to do a big bang. So we actually literally version our transformation with People 1.0, 2.0, Cyber 1.0, so that our employees can come along with it and understand what we're doing in each phase of our transformation. People is one thing that a lot of people talk about, but invest less in. So when we talk to our employees, they say the pay transparency, pay equity, being able to promote any time in the year, these are some of the things that are very, very important to our employees, and we hear them, and we apply these policies on a continuous basis. And that's a fundamental building block for our transformation and modernization journey. And the second thing is we transition from project to product. And of course, that's also done methodically with Agile 1.0, 2.0. And today, almost every single developer in S&P Global is part of some sort of an agile methodology, follows a particular agile methodology, and does like 2 or 3 week sprints depending upon the release cycles that they have. Another component of our transformation is carrying our employees through these modern technologies. We said that we need to train our employees long before we have a need for a technology, and we received a lot of awards for this Essential Tech and Essential Innovation program. And like I said, we also had a cloud program that went from 1.0, which is started with a lift and shift, and then we're methodically going cloud native across the board. This journey has been very rewarding for us in being able to deliver the business value that we need to. So when I talk about cybersecurity, which is one of the facets, I talk a lot to the board about how we are protecting the company. When I update the board, these are the things that we talk about. How are we doing against the industry standard frameworks such as NIST? How is the threat landscape changing? What type of a security operations issues have we seen? How we are able to defend them? And we will give a slew of metrics around vulnerabilities, data leakages, identity access management, and we also update them on the Zero Trust program. So let's double click on what this Zero Trust program is. But before, we all know that cyber technology is an alphabet soup of many, many niche players and best practice vendors. You don't have the luxury to pick a vendor who is not very good at what they are doing. But what we found as a result, we have a complex technology stack and an alphabet soup of applications and that we are trying to piece together. When you're trying to look at this landscape of partners, what happens is if you selected a partner 5 years ago, they may stop innovating. Let me give you an example. A partner which we chose at that time 5 years ago were very, very good at vulnerability management, but they're not good at patch management. We're using a different technology for patch management. But the patch management company innovated well, and they got into vulnerability management, they got into log management, and the security event management, and we have to select the right partners to make sure that we are going on the journey. So that's why every time we look at a vendor or a partner, there are a few things that are important. I wanted to share with you specifically what aspect of the Zscaler that we liked that allowed us to partner with them several years ago. So the first and foremost, I always bet on the right architecture. You need to know the architecture of your partner and how that architecture is making them extensible with additional features and functionality. What we see is when once I deploy the Zscaler agent, I have enormous access to the backend cloud that can add more functionality and more features. The hardest part is to rolling out the Zscaler agent. And then understanding the roadmap. We get constant updates from Zscaler team on the roadmaps. And if I know that they have something on the roadmap for 2 years ago, that I have a different product that is not innovating, I can plan the renewal cycle and when do I buy from Zscaler in their land and expand strategy. So having that visibility to the roadmap and the platform is very, very important. And of course, a proven global scale. And most importantly, what I like about the culture that Jay brings to Zscaler is a build with the customer. Some of the products that are launched today, the product around risk ratings is something that we worked very closely with Zscaler. So to give you specific details about 3 use cases that we have, let me welcome our head of network architecture and engineering, Guru Ramamurthy. Guru? Great. Guru, so tell us, whenever we talk about Zscaler, you say we are having 46,000 floating offices. Tell us how ZIA and Zscaler helped us with that.
Thank you, Swami. I mean, it's absolute pleasure being here and sharing what we have accomplished with Zscaler. I think to answer the question, in the pre-Zscaler era, it has always been complex and challenging in managing the S&P Global network architecture. Given the 46,000 people, thousands of applications, and with rapidly moving threat landscape, the traditional network architectures were not scalable. It resulted in complex security challenges and friction in the end-user experience. With the introduction of Zscaler Zero Trust architecture and the concept of smart switchboard, the network landscape has completely transformed. The network team at S&P Global, in partnership with our InfoSec team and with our digital workplace team, we were able to roll out ZIA in a record-breaking time. Today, we distribute a secure internet access and distribute a software-defined policy on the Zscaler platform to 46,000 users working from 180 locations worldwide, leveraging 60 Zscaler data centers and ensuring the stronger security posture and greater user experience. And in this entire process, our journey did not stop there. Because of Zscaler's greater flexibility and scalability in their architecture and their unique agent architecture where everything is built into one single agent architecture, we propelled our transformation journey even further and started beginning to transform our remote access VPN infrastructure. In the middle of a global pandemic, we transformed our VPN architecture from a legacy VPN into a Zscaler private access VPN. Today, we provide remote access VPN for those many employees working from 180 locations worldwide, and the experience they get is 8 to 12% improvement in the speed compared to the traditional VPN, which is a significant achievement. Our security teams were able to ensure security. Our employees are able to ensure that they have the greatest experience. With this 2 large implementations, Swami, I was able to retire the legacy proxy and the legacy VPN technologies, and we were able to simplify and standardize the entire network architecture.
Excellent. So we talked about the merger with IHS Markit, and I know many of you probably have gone through the merger. Because of our cloud-first strategy, merger integration has been very easy. Typically, whenever a merger happens, we promise to the street the integration synergies, which requires the employees to work with each other, and also revenue synergies, which means that we need to build new products and systems. So Zscaler was very pivotal. So tell us, how did the ZPA solution help us with the integration, Guru?
Our mergers and integration is such a powerful use case to share here. I'm sure most of you must have engaged in mergers as well. What I'm going to share, I'm sure you'll all appreciate what I'm sharing. The world before Zscaler, the task of ordering circuits, appliances, dealing with IP address conflicts that comes as a part of the merger, and then providing connectivity and access to those many employees, it's extremely difficult. In the world after Zscaler and with their cloud-native technologies and their scalability, we were able to change the complete mergers and integration landscape. I'll tell you what that means. We were able to pre-stage all the configurations through the software, test it thoroughly, and deploy it right on day one to 46,000 employees to thousands of applications, which means on day one, all our employees were able to collaborate, communicate, engage, learn, and produce results as a part of the merger. But when we decided to do this, we want to make sure our implementation is done accurately and perfectly so that we can take the full advantage of Zero Trust. What that means is, today on ZPA, we have about 350,000 applications onboarded in ZPA, of which 96% of them were fully segmented. And what we plan to do with the AI and ML technologies that Zscaler is launching as a part of this Zenith Live, we wanted to increase our segmentation from 96% to 100%. By doing such a great implementation, we were able to meet some of our regulatory requirements by putting an additional defense on top of our identity stack. The implementation of this scale was seen immediately a positive impact on our employees because they were able to produce results which is expected out of a big merger like this.
Excellent. Every time Jay comes and sees us, he's basically so excited about the best practices implementation that we have with the ZPA, the segmentation, the containerization. So not only you will use Zscaler, but you need to understand what are the best practices under the hood to deploy at scale for an enterprise like the ones that you have. So let's talk about, I said modernization, right? Now, I'm sure a lot of the audience here also modernizing them. And as you go to the cloud native, the complexity with the microservices, it changes. So tell us how our implementation is helping us deal with this complexity that comes with modernization.
Great question, Swami. With continuous modernization, the infrastructure and application landscape is becoming very dynamic and very transient. With multi-cloud, the IT landscape has significantly changed. The only way to manage this dynamic infrastructure and secure this dynamic infrastructure is through software and through software-defined architecture and software-defined policies. With Zscaler, organizations can today build a greater software-defined policy and deliver it many number of times through their software-defined platform and through the unified agent architecture to maximum number of employees to maximum number of apps at the same time. What this provides to our security organization is able to see a single pane of glass and make an impact to ensure our employees are getting consistent security experience. And very importantly, in this entire process of continuous modernization and securing the enterprise, we are ensuring our user experience and the benefits of multi-cloud is not hampered, which means when we brought this continuous modernization journey, and the benefit of multi-cloud is all about agility, speed, transformation, but with Zscaler, all of those aspects were still retained, they were frictionless, and we were able to do that. By doing this entire implementation, the IT and security teams were still in good control of security and enforcement, also ensuring the richer user experience.
Fantastic. So many of you probably get this management report or dashboard for your Zscaler implementation. I get those reports on how S&P Global is being protected by Zscaler. But I always look at them and say, like, where are some of these vulnerabilities? Where are they coming from? Guru and the team have been working with Zscaler team. We are a design partner for the Risk360 product that was launched. And what this allows us to do is that, okay, we have ZIA and ZPA installed and configured, and it's working, it's defending, but it still allows me to use the Risk360 product to look at the details about where are the vulnerabilities, what is the sources, and go back and remediate in the system across the enterprise. So we're working with Zscaler on Risk360 product, and we're really very excited about the features and functionality that they have. In closing, I would say that the true architecture of having software-defined security and using that as an operating system to have policy-based governance and oversight and configuration really gave us significant benefits for us, and we're very happy to share our story. Thank you. Have a great time.
Thank you.
Please welcome our customers from Liberty Mutual, Business Information and Security Officer Global Cybersecurity, James Colson, and Vice President and Senior Director of Technology Digital Workforce Enablement, Gary Sherman.
Good afternoon. My name is Gary Sherman. I'm a Vice President and Senior Director of Technology for Liberty Mutual. Currently run an organization called DWE, which is Digital Workforce Enablement. We're responsible for the end user technologies, and we also have some security engineering and security operations teams embedded in my organization.
Great, and my name is James Colson. I've been at Liberty a little over 11 years, and I'm the Business Information Security Officer. It's great to be here.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
There you go. Hopefully you've all heard that jingle before, and if you haven't heard that jingle, it's going to get stuck in your head. You're going to be hearing it later today. But before we get going, a little bit about Liberty Mutual. We currently have over $50 billion in annual consolidated revenue. We're number 86 on the Fortune 100 list. We have over 50,000 global employees, and we operate in 29 countries in global economies. And today, we're the 5th largest P&C insurer in the world. So as you can see from the numbers, we do operate on scale. And much like everybody here in the room, we have a responsibility to our clients to ensure that we safeguard their data and personal information. What if this was the sound that you heard every day as you started your work? What if every page took 25 minutes to load, or not 25 minutes, or 5 minutes to load? What if you had to work from home pre-pandemic and 25 years ago? It just wouldn't have worked. So for us, Zscaler architecture and a zero trust architecture really was a key enabler for us to move everybody at home into work remotely. Now at Liberty, we had some legacy infrastructure. Well, it wasn't quite as bad as the pictures I just showed you, but we had, again, legacy infrastructure that we knew we needed to do something about. We had too many security agents on our laptops. They were bogging the machines down. Remote workers could go home and simply bypass some of our security controls by turning off the VPN. We had all of our internet access routing through a hub and spoke model coming out of our primary data centers. And one of the more difficult things is the scalability in our environment was very difficult. If we had to scale, we had to purchase equipment, and it was too costly and too timely to implement. So we knew we had to do something. We knew we had to undertake a transformation and improve our security posture and enhance our end user experience. Again, that's improve our security posture and enhance our end user experiences. So we went on a transformational path to adopt Zscaler for users. We did it in 3 phases. Phase 1 was secure access for our employees. This is where we started with ZIA and ZPA, so Zscaler Internet Access and Zscaler Private Access. Proud to say that today we're finished the global rollout of ZIA, and we're about 80% complete on the ZPA rollout. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a few slides. So once we started that, one of the things that we started to hear from some of our employees was they were having less than an optimal experience at home going through these new technologies. And we quickly realized we did not have the right visibility end to end to understand where the challenge was. We didn't know if it was the laptop, we didn't know if it was last mile, we didn't know what it was. So we knew we had to do something, so we adopted ZDX, Zscaler Digital Experience. And that really gave us the insights end to end to be able to solve and understand where the problem was or potentially where the problem wasn't. The last part of our journey was to look at third-party access and M&A. Historically, whenever we had a third party come in our environment, we gave them access to a VDI environment, so a virtual desktop. One that took far too long to give them access to. It was extremely costly, and in a lot of cases, it gave them far too much access into our environment, and they potentially had east and west lateral movement capabilities, so we knew we had to do something. And so we then went and looked at the CBI, Cloud Browser Isolation product, and specifically for ZPA, and were able to give mergers and acquisition employees quick access into our environment through the web browser. Now, with every transformation, there's a lot of big wins. I just wanted to highlight a couple of them. First, before the transformation, we could only inspect about 10% of all of the encrypted traffic that flowed through our environment. Post the transformation, we can now inspect over 80% of that traffic. We got a 75% decrease on false positive for our DLP detections. That was hugely valuable to our SOC organization and to other highly skilled security professionals because we can move them to higher valued work. And the last one I'll call out before I hand it off to James is we got about a 25% improvement on MTTR for connectivity related issues for our end users. And so that was a huge win, and we got that visibility through the ZDX product.
Great, thanks Gary, we appreciate it. So as we get started here, I thought I'd anchor a little bit on really one of our guiding principles in cybersecurity at Liberty Mutual. There's really 3 tenets to it. The first one, it's important to us to have the right technology portfolio and the right partner at the same time. And with partnering with Zscaler and focusing on our Zero Trust journey, we accomplished that first principle. The second part for us, it's really important for us in security to have transparency. And that's super important because we want to enable the business. You know, it sounds contradictory, security enabling the business, but that's really what we're striving for now at Liberty Mutual, and if we can't enable, we certainly don't want to impact the business. And then the third piece, and this will become more present as I go into a little bit of pulling the curtain back in a moment, is that it's really important to us that we want our users, our employees, our partners, our contractors, to be responsible users of technology, especially new dynamic technology. And the way that we do that is through that transparency and security awareness. So I thought I'd pull the curtain back and share a little bit about our journey at Liberty Mutual with generative AI, specifically with ChatGPT, Google Bard, and a few other things. So opportunity for all of you to get a little interactive if you choose. But how many people here in the last 9 months either were walking into their boss's office or maybe coming into your office saying, oh my God, ChatGPT, how are we going to handle this in our organization, right? So nobody put up the hand? Fantastic, the rest of this is going to go great. Like, it's going to go great. So it's really interesting because it's everywhere now, right? It's over the last 9 months, generative AI has exploded, whether that's ChatGPT and OpenAI or Google Bard or hundreds of other generative AI solutions that are out there that will allow you to do anything, translations, help your kids pass high school, whatever that goal is. But what's really interesting about generative AI is how it's disrupting and integrating with our environments, and more importantly, how it's innovating. So just real quick, if you think about where a search engine's going, the Bing search engine is already plugged into ChatGPT. The Google search engine is going to plug in the next 6 to 9 months into Google Bard. And then you bring in the automation piece. And there's so many great stories of what you can do with generative AI. In our industry in insurance, things like document summarization, co-piloting code is really key for us. And then the ability to support our call centers. So it's great, right? We're in this era now where we have AI for the masses. It's fantastic. But you know what? Not everybody is going to be a great user of this new technology. And that's where, as a cybersecurity professional, you know, I get concerned, and we got our little shady hacker person on the screen here. But as we move forward, how did we address this at Liberty Mutual? So the first thing we thought about was, what is the perimeter? And you hear a lot of people say, oh, the perimeter is dead. I don't believe that. I think the perimeter has moved, but more importantly, I think the perimeter is now about context, and you heard that earlier this morning from Sanjay, but it's also about persona. And so we approached our journey with ChatGPT in that matter. Certainly, using our Zero Trust technology in Zscaler, we went out and sure enough blocked some things, but we didn't block it for everybody. We looked at the personas and said, you know, our data science folks can really move our business forward if they have access to this technology. We can also look at our sales folks, our marketing folks. So using that persona, that context, we were able to take a balanced approach to how we're treating generative AI. And additionally to that, we really like the data leakage protection, right? We can see what's going on. And when I tie it all back to that slide I had in the beginning about responsible use, employee awareness, we want our employees to adopt technology. And we know it's very difficult to keep plugging your fingers in the dam when every day there's 100 new generative AI solutions out there. And that's a journey we don't want to be on. And it's not a journey we're going to win. You're trying to hold back technology, you know, good luck. The world is changing. But we know that with being able to monitor data, having users understanding what type of information they should use generative AI for and things that they shouldn't, what's proprietary to us, that's not put our code out in public, you know, in ChatGPT to get it checked. That's not an ideal use case for anybody. And also with Zscaler, we're able to make sure we have the security profile. It's actually with our users for their entire journey. That entire session, whatever they're doing, we're tied in with whether it's conditional access policies, whether it's intrusion detection or firewall controls, whether it's domain blocking. That's part of our security journey all the way through there. And I would just kind of wrap it up. I talked about personas, I talked about context, but it really is, for us, Zero Trust. That is what we're looking at. That is our evolution. That's where we're going. Everything we do in security now, we tie to the Zero Trust story. Does it fit our Zero Trust model? And that's one of our major criteria. So thank you very much, and I'll hand it back to you, Gary.
Great. So as you go through every transformation, there's a lot of benefits realized. For us, as I mentioned, we want to improve our security posture, and we wanted to enhance the user experience, and we truly did. With the implementation of ZIA and ZPA, it became transparent because we put single sign-on onto the desktop, and users had a much better experience with an always-on access methodology. Another benefit that I want to highlight is the reduced bandwidth. Actually, when we went into the project, we didn't expect and we didn't really think about the bandwidth that we would save. But with ZIA and clear internet access and the client running, we were able to stop backhauling the traffic, and we reduced about 10 terabytes a day of traffic traversing our internal networks, which yielded us over $1 million in cost savings that we didn't expect to get. So that was a big win for us. And then I did mention that we also used CBI for the M&A and third party. We got to day one access. In the past, it sometimes would take us anywhere from 30 to 60 to 90 days to get the full population deployed onto the VDI for lots of different reasons, all the applications we had to install. But through CBI, we simply just onboarded them, and quickly they had access. So those were some of the benefits that we wanted to highlight. But with the benefits also comes some times when you bump your head. There comes some lessons that you may learn. And we certainly learned a lot through this journey. So I just want to highlight a couple. The first is plan for blockers, right? If you're implementing ZPA, there are going to be some applications that may not work perfectly through the tunnel on first try. So as you're defining your global rollout strategy, make sure you work with your app dev teams so that they can remediate blockers in a prioritized fashion and get you working through the ZPA tunnel. One of the other ones is really understanding some of your workload traffic flows and patterns. For us, as we started the journey, we put everything through the ZIA tunnel. And we ran into a situation where our voice and audio streams weren't working as well as we had hoped through the tunnel. We made the conscious decision to bypass ZIA for those particular protocols, and we're getting a much better user experience. And then the last thing I want to call out is choose a trusted partner. Choose a partner that you know you can work with, right? One that has scale, one that has global reach, one that can work at the pace you need them to work at, because it's really important as you run into challenges or shift your project that the vendor or partner that you choose is the right one for you and can move at those speeds. And for us at Liberty Mutual, that's exactly why we chose Zscaler. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your time today.